Hello there, it's Jan back from JB Crafts. Welcome to the channel. I'm back today with another tutorial for you guys. First of all, just wanted to say thank you for all your input with previous videos. I know there's several of you that are regular commenters and I am really grateful for all the support. It's been a lovely journey on here, surprising journey that's got me to this point. But yeah, just keep going with the ideas. I've got loads of ideas. I've got loads of notes written down of things that I'd like to do for the channel in the future. But today, we're actually going to bring in some dry embossing using an embossing folder, and this is the design that I've made, and I'm going to call it Spotlight Embossing because we've got 3 separate layers that have all been embossed with the same folder, and the embossing lines up from the top layer into the next layer into the back layer, so you've still got the whole design. Again, you can see sort of little elements here. If I just grab this way, we can see where this is going across here and it's carried on onto the pink and then it comes out onto the white. So each side of it, wherever this finishes, it joins the one underneath to create that whole design. So I'm going to show you how I've made this. Again, very simple to do. You can use any embossing folder. I chose a 3D one just because you get much more effect with the pronunciation of the embossing, and it's much easier to get the lining up in place with the rest of the design. So I'm going to show you how I've done it. As I say, very, very simple. We're going to bring in some inks. I've used a couple of my distress inks on here. I've gone for pink raspberry and dried marigold, so 2 nice warm shades on here just to create a nice background colour, and a lot of that was chosen from the paper that I've used in the background. Again, paper out of my stash. It also had a little bit of lilac in here, so I've created that by adding some lilac ink around the back of the paper in the background. Got my sentiment on the front there. Gorgeous little flower embellishment. I'll show you where this is from. And then inside, again, I've just added a few of the details to link it to the front. So we've got a strip of that paper that was left over. I've die cut an extra piece of the banner to stamp my sentiment on, and I've got one of the smaller versions of the flower on the front just to link it together. So always and forever, may all of your dreams come true. So this would be great for kind of a wedding card, an anniversary card, something like that. Again, changing the colours or the style of embossing folder, you could change the theme completely. So let me get into the tutorial then and show you how I've made it. So I've put my background together because this was fairly straightforward. It is literally a shop bought 7x5 inch card, 7x5. If you don't have that, you can use a piece of 10 inch by 7 and score it halfway down. So that's what we're going to use for our background card. And then I have come down to create a piece of pattern paper that I'm going to put on the front, and this is from an old pad, just a watercolor background pad that I've had in my stash for a while, but you could put anything behind here. And this one, I think I just came down, let's have a look, 1/4 inch. Yeah, so I've got 4 3/4 on the width and 6 3/4 on the height. I do normally write those on for you, so I apologize for that one. So again, we're going to use, same as always, we're going to go with the all-purpose and pop this one down, and I've just gone round the edge of it with some Dusty Concord oxide ink, which was a nice match for some of the purple tones that were in the paper there, just to introduce a little bit of that purple ink. It was a double-sided paper. It seems a shame to cover that one up, but I'm always going on about let's get that stash used. You know, I've hoarded paper for years, and I'm now in such a position that I've got that much paper that I probably never use it all. And I know that sounds a bit I don't know what the word is. You know, I'm lucky that I'm in that position. I do recognise that. I've been buying paper pads for years and years and years, and then I've got this sudden dawning and realisation that, you know, I've got enough to paper the house with. Am I going to stop buying paper pads? Probably not. We're all the same. You know what I'm saying. You know, we've always laughed and joked about buying the product is one hobby, using it is a second hobby. And I know a lot of you will actually associate with that. We're all, you know, crafters are like that. We tend to hoard things, but yeah, get in that stash and get using them. So that's going to be my background, and I'm going to leave that aside to dry while we work on those banners. Now, the banner dies are from a set from Hunky Dory Crafts. It's part of their Moonstone collection, and I love these. There are 12 dies in here that are all graded in size to create those beautiful fishtail banners. So I've gone for the third one in. Well, I've gone for the largest one, then the third one in, then so I've missed two, third one, missed two, and then we've got the sixth one. That's right, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. Right, let me start that again. We've got the first one. Let's bring the dies back in. So the first one's the largest one, and that measures, let's have a little look what that largest one measures. We've got approximately 4.5 inches by 5 3/4 inches on that first one. So I've taken the first one, then I've missed two, then I've taken the next one, which will be the fourth die, then I've missed two, so that'll be 5, 6, and taken the seventh one. So I wanted quite a nice gap in between the layers, so I haven't gone for consecutive dies. I tried the next one and it was still very narrow, so I've actually skipped 2 dies to create a good 1/2 inch gap between the layers of the banners, so that I could see that detail and we could get that sort of spotlight effect. So those are the dies. Just pop those up there for a second. And then this is my embossing folder, and this is a Crafter's Companion one made for Gemini. It's a 3D folder, and it's called Cherry Blossom. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's a favourite of mine. If I put it on here, you should be able to see that pattern. I absolutely love the floral on this. I love cherry blossom. I've got a cherry tree in my garden, and it's one of my favourites in those spring months. So I've chosen that one as my overall design. And then what we've got is we've got the largest banner, which I've prepared already. So I've die cut a piece of smooth white cardstock, and then I've passed it through that embossing folder. And what I did was actually kept it towards the top and centered pretty much. Okay, so we've got it about the same distance at either side, and we've got it centered in there, and that will allow me to position the next one. Okay, so the next one, let's pop that one to one side. The next one wants to be this size, and I've already inked this one up, and I've die cut the pink. I haven't passed it through the embossing folder yet, so this has been done with my pink raspberry ink, and it's distress ink because I wanted this lovely mottling with the water, and the water reacts with the inks a bit more obviously than with the oxides. It does work with the oxides, but because of the pigment in there, you don't get quite as much definition. So I've literally done some splattering with my paintbrush and with my spritzer bottle to get that lovely sort of marking in the back of there, and I've die cut it ready. So I'm going to ink up the smaller piece and do all the die cutting and the embossing, but this one will pass through the folder just to get this one going. And all I'm going to do is now bring this one down slightly, and I want to make sure that I've still got an even space pretty much around the outside. So I'm just looking at either side. I'm going to bring that open so that we can work on the inside, making sure I've got the raised element here. And I'm going to bring this to sort of about the same distance all the way round. So I'm looking here, here, and here. I'm not bothered about the bottom because obviously it's a banner, but we're going to go across the top, down the sides, and make sure that it's about even. And then I'm going to trap that in my folder, and we're going to pass this through the die cutting machine. So those of you that watch me regularly know that mine is behind me, so I'm just going to grab the plates for that. And for my embossing sandwich, these are what I normally use, but I am going to bring in my old plastic shim, and I'm going to put my cutting plate, not the cutting plate, Jan, you don't need the cutting plate. I'm going to move those two out of the way. For my 3D platform, I'm going to bring my base plate and my magnetic shim along with the folder, and then it's the original plastic shim that goes over the top. And then I'm just going to pop round behind me and pass this through my Gemini, which just sits on the set of drawers behind me. You can hear that going. And then bring you that one back so you can see the results. And we've got that beautiful imagery pressed into here. It is just stunning, that folder, it really is. And we've got that gorgeous deep impression from the 3D folder, and because we lined it up, we can then, and this bit's so simple because you can feel it click into place, and that's why I've chosen the 3D folder. It just clicks nicely into place. All right, and we're going to pop those together with some glue when we're ready. In fact, we can pop that one on already, so let's get that one stuck down. So I'm going to use that collal glue and pop this on the back of here, and then we'll work on that smallest one, that last banner with the dried marigold. So make sure I've got plenty in the back of those definitions from the folder, and then I'm going to line it up looking at the pattern and get it lined up the best I can and get that one stuck down so that we've got that pattern continuing over the edge. And just while we're waiting for that one to dry, I'm going to grab my block and pop that on there so that we can leave that to one side. So as far as the next layer is concerned, let's pop these, make a little bit of space. We don't need the glue for a minute. We're going to need that smallest of the banners. We can put those to one side. Brought the old mat out because we're going to do a little bit of inking, and I've got a scrap of card that's big enough to die cut my third banner out of. So as far as the inking's concerned, I've got my brush, I've got my ink rather than the oxide, and it is literally just the coverage of the card. Okay, there doesn't have to be anything special here. It doesn't have to be a perfect blend because it is the background. Let me just grab my ink stand and then that one won't wobble around so much. There we go. So yeah, I'm just going to bring it onto the card, and this is all smooth white cardstock, and just build up some background in here with that brush. You could use your foam applicators if you prefer. I just like they've got into the habit of using the brushes now. And again, I quite like that kind of mottly effect. I don't want it to be solid colour because we're going to get that gradient in it. Now, I've just realised I've forgotten to do a layer which could prove interesting. Sorry, I've forgotten to add something to the pink layer, which we'll see whether we can manage. I might just do it on the top one. So that's my ink. I'm happy with that. Pop those to one side. We don't need that one anymore. And then I've got a paintbrush and my distress sprayer, which I'm going to pop some on the mat first and just pick this up, whoops, and give it a good splash. The distress ink just reacts beautifully with the water. Never get fed up of doing this, never. Okay, and then when we're happy with that, we can get rid of that excess water and just give that a second to do its job. And then I've got my kitchen roll at the side of me. You can see where I blotted off the pink when I prepped that. I'm literally just going to roll that across and lift up some of that moisture, and just look. It never ever gets old, this. The more times I do it, the better it gets. Honestly, I love it. I love the reaction of the inks. And then we're just going to give that a second, and then we're going to die cut the banner out of it. But what I've just realised I've forgotten to do, and I think we can salvage it with a little bit of help from some sticky notes. Let's just see whether we can do this. What I intended to do was rub the ink pad to define the embossing. So what I'm going to do is cut. This could go fatally wrong, guys, but we'll see. I'm just going to put this around the edge because I don't want it on the white layer. So yeah, this is not the way to do it. It's better to do it beforehand. But again, Jan got giddy and stuck it down, so we're improvising. So yeah, I want to cover up the white layer so that I don't get any pink ink on the white. Otherwise that sort of ruins the idea of the spotlight effect. So yeah, the old post-it notes come to the rescue. May look a bit excessive, it probably is, but it's going to give me the opportunity to do what I want to do with my ink pads. So yeah, let's just make sure that they're running nice and straight. And then I need a couple for the bottom. So yeah, it's used a few of my post-its, but I do have a good stash of them, like everything else. But yeah, I want to just cover up that white layer. So it's just, all I've done is just highlighted the pink layer there. And it is raised, so we should be okay. So I'm going to grab the pink pad. I want to just very, very gently bring this over the top. Just to highlight some of that way. And I'm going to stop at that. I'm not going to go too mad with it because I don't want to create a problem. So yeah, we managed it. We've got this. The paper's caught the ink, look, which is what I thought would happen. And I think we've got away with it. Whew, there's always a way around things. And that ink will dry back a little bit once it dries off. Excuse me. Ooh, sneezing well today. So yeah, we'll leave that one back to one side while we carry on this one. So I think this is dry enough to die cut now. So I'm just going to pop this on here. We're going to need to pass it through the machine a couple of times. Oh my days, goodness me, something's irritating my my nose today. So yeah, just back to the original combination for die cutting, which is my cutting plate there. And I have spoken about why I use the green plate in here rather than the plastic shim in previous videos. So we're going to cut that one out. And then I will need to pass it back through with that embossing sandwich to do the embossing. There we go, look. So I don't need those two. We're finished with the die, so we can move that out of the way. Little bit of scrap, that'll go in the scrap box. And then we're going to bring the embossing folder back in again. And this time, again, making sure I've got that raised area at the bottom. This time, whatever the width is at the side here, I want about the same width at the top. So again, it's a little bit by eye. There's no precise kind of measurement for it. But yeah, I'm just working on what's exposed here to be about the same width as what we've got at the sides there. And then I'm just going to pass this one through again. So same base plate and magnetic shim, and this time I'm bringing my original plastic shim just to apply the right pressure in my Gemini to use that 3D embossing folder. There we go. Just get rid of the plates now, we don't need those anymore. And then we've got that gorgeous, I just love the effect, you know, just this bit on its own on a card, you know, with some little if you watched my couple of videos ago when we were making the embellishments, you know, this would be a great background to do one of those little embellishment clusters on. But yeah, we can now bring this one, and this will lock into place again, yep, straight away, and we've got that same outline. Now we won't make the same mistake. We'll actually bring the ink back in and go over this one before we stick it together. So just lightly with the ink pad, and all it does is catch some of that raised area of the embossed detail and just adds a bit of interest. And as I say, it will dry back a little bit. Right, I just need to give my nose a little blow because all the sneezing has made my nose run. And it is early today, but I have taken my antihistamine, but something's bothering it today. So there we go, that's our third piece in place, and that one is going to go now on here. So again, we've got that all-purpose glue. I'm going to pop this one down on here as well. I always put plenty of glue in the back of the depressions from the embossing folder. And again, this one, just need to look underneath and you'll feel it literally just lock into place there. That's it. And again, pop that on just to give it a little bit of pressure for a second or two, and then I'll walk you through the rest of the embellishments. So I've got some ribbon to pop round it. Just picked out the lilac again because that was in that paper to link it together. And then I have got again an old die set. This is actually a Creative Expressions die set, and again I've had this in my stash for a very long time. It's called Layered Loops, and they make a really unusual style of flower, and I love them. Just something a bit different. I just wanted something simple for the front of this one. So they come as a pair. You can do a matte layer behind them or a shadow layer, and then this one cuts out the whole flower. So I've omitted the shadow layer. I just wanted the loopy sort of strands of the flower. So I've used the largest of the three. You do get some sort of swirly foliagey bits as well. And I've created this one. I've cut it a couple of times and stuck them together, and then I've just popped a nice Aurora gem in the middle so that that catches the light and picks out those colours. So that's my die set in there. We can pop that one back, and we're going to use this along with the ribbon. And then the last thing I've got in there is another sentiment. So these are from a sheet where there's just one of each. So this one said always and forever. This one I've got best day ever. Sorry if that's not picking it up very well. It's silver writing on there. So we're going to do the same layout. So the first thing I need to do is not get giddy, and we need to put our ribbon around here first. So let's just get rid of that one. And I'm going to pop this lilac ribbon again to bring it all together. It's very pale. It's only a, yeah, what's the word I'm looking for? Organza ribbon. But it's going to bring it all together. Those colours go nicely with the lilac, and when we get it on that background layer, it will bring it all together. So what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to cut a couple of bits of my double-sided tape, and we'll stick this around the back of the card. So I want this to come into that smallest layer. So we're going to go around the card about, and I'm just eyeballing. So what I'm going to do is create about the same distance down again. So I've got the white gap, the pink gap, bit of that marigold gap, and then we'll pop this round the back and just stick it down there with some of the double-sided tape. Just secure it in place before we stick the whole thing down. I need to see if I can get this off now without bringing the whole layer off, because it's gone into the embossed part of it. So I just want the liner. There we go. And then we'll wrap this round and stick it down. And then I want to just bring that across here so that it's running level. And we'll do the same at this side. So I've got my piece of tape ready, sticking to me. Pop that on the inside, give it a good burnish down, remove the liner and stick my ribbon in place. Yeah. And then I'm just going to take off that excess piece. I'm going to not fishtail, I'm going to angle the bottoms of here. And we're going to use that little scrap because it's not much good for anything else. We're going to use that little scrap as part of the embellishment. So you can see now how, yeah, I've covered up a lot of the paper. I know it's beautiful paper and I am covering it up, but I wanted that little bit of definition behind that brought in the colours. So you can either pop this one onto some foam tape or you can stick it flat. I'll explain what I did with the first one, but when I'm remaking them I nearly always make them flat just to give you that opposite idea. If you're posting or mailing cards, then yeah, sometimes you want to keep them flat and they can look just as nice. I do like dimension on my cards, and I'll show you what I did with the original one, but this one I've kept all the layers flat. I'm very pleased with myself that I remembered to put my ribbon on, because again, those of you that follow me regularly know I often forget to put this piece on. But I'm always talking about when I'm working on a vertical, I like to go across the horizontal. So we've got the horizontal with the ribbon, and we're going to have the horizontal with the little sentiment as well. So my sentiment's going to come in here, and I am going to put a little tiny bit of foam adhesive behind the end of it, just to help bridge these gaps on here. Gosh, they're going for it round the back now. I really do apologise on the video. I've filmed 2 videos this morning, and there is some work going out across the back of the house. Not my house, across the back of the gardens, and they're walloping something and giving it a good old going. So I'm going to put my embellishment on first. So I wanted to bring this in, and again, you know, do you put it in the centre? It would look nice in the centre, but I actually preferred it off to one side, and I thought, do you know what, just to use up the little scrap here, what we will do is tuck it behind the ribbon that's already on there. So I'm going to take one of my glue dots off there, get that ready, and then I'm going to slot this behind here, which is why I've just angled the edges. And again, it's just a little tiny touch, so I'm going to put the glue dot inside and then just anchor that one behind there. It uses it up, and then I want a dab of my acrylic glue on the back of here, and then this is going to cover the glue dot. So I'm only sticking the centre part down, and then we'll pop that on here. You can't see much of the ribbon underneath, but I know it's there, you know, and I'm happy with that as part of the design. And then I'm going to use those tweezers again just to hold that in place while it dries, because it's on the ribbon. Just pop those on there for a minute, and then we've got this one. So I'm going to put glue across this side, and I've got that little foam piece on there so that we can bridge the edge of here and just pop it on. Make sure that it's nice and straight. I think that's okay, and the foam pad's just propping it up under this layer here. So yeah, that is my design. Let's just put the lid on there. So that's Spolight Embossing. It's just showcasing the fact that the embossing runs through the whole piece. So that will dry on there in time once the glue's cured, and we've got that layering. So as I say, I've kept this one flat. The whole of it is flat, so this bit's flat onto the card and these 2 layers are flat on it. The only bit of dimension was just under here to bridge where the differential is in the cardstock. Now on the original one, I put the background's exactly the same, it's flat, and then I stuck the white layer on flat, but I've raised the pink and the apricot layer with a little bit of foam tape, so there's just a bit of dimension behind this one here and behind this one. And again, it's all about, you know, whether you're popping your card in the mail or whether you're hand delivering it, as to how much dimension you want on the project. So yeah, I've actually put all 3 of them together. So instead of sticking this one flat, I put some foam tape behind it, and my foam tape's only 1mm, so it doesn't create a massive amount of height, but it does give you that little bit of dimension. And then I added this one with the foam tape, then wrapped it with the ribbon, and then stuck the white one flat to the background card. So very, very similar. The inks are a little bit brighter on this one. Okay, I'm not sure. This looks, I think it may be where it's dried off a little bit more. Yeah, it's just settled in, I think. I think this one will dry back a bit. The ink's still a little bit wet on that one. And then, of course, you know me, it's got to have those little gems in. So all I've done is gone white because I didn't want to add any more colour. I had a look at the Aurora gems, but I didn't have them the right size. I like to grade the gems. I've got some smaller ones and a medium one here, and then we've got the fancy one which highlights the centre of the embellishment. So I've just gone through with white. They've got that Aurora finish on them, but they are a white one to pick out the white in the card. And then again, that nice insert, just using bits of leftover from the background paper, using the banner die to create that shape from the front, and it's the same size as this one. No, it's not, telling a lie, it's one of the ones in between. And then I've also done the smallest one of those little loopy flowers to echo the embellishment on the front. So yeah, something a little bit different. I really love the colour scheme on this one as well. It's so nice and fresh. As I say, I think it'd be beautiful for a wedding card, especially with the always and forever symbol on, or the best day ever that I've used on the other one. And again, you know, if you were doing it as a wedding card, you could coordinate the colours with the theme. If you know the theme of the wedding, you could go with themes like that. And I know, I mean, pink and the peachy colour are a popular. I had peach for my bridesmaids when I got married many moons ago in a different lifetime. Well, I say a different lifetime, it was this last lifetime. I've only been married once, but it just seems so long ago now. But yeah, you know, popular colours, it would look nice with the lilac in. I know a friend of mine's just got married, they've had a really dark green, so you could have picked the greens out in it. It would look really pretty to coordinate it. So if you've enjoyed the content today, consider giving it a thumbs up for me. It helps tremendously with the channel, keep the channel moving forward. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Come and join our crafty crew if you like the tutorial, and click that subscribe button and join us on the channel at JB Crafts. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Enjoy whatever you have planned for your day. I don't have much planned for the rest of the day other than creating some more content for you guys before we go away. I'm going away shortly for our summer break, so I want to get the content all uploaded before I go on holiday, and then I've got it all ready for you guys. So yeah, that's my plans for today, and I'll be back very soon with the next one. So I'll see you here then. Bye bye now.